It's time for this week's episode of Brandon's Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon's Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the USA's Olympian alpine skier, Tricia Mangan. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in the professional sport of alpine skiing?
Yeah, I would say it was a bit accidental. I started skiing when I was super young and just loved the sport. Definitely didn't do it to become pro specifically, but I just kind of worked my way up the ladder and ended up here. So yeah, it was just one step at a time.
What was it like going to Dartmouth to do alpine skiing in college?
It was awesome. I think that is like one of the biggest blessings of my involvement in the sport so far is being a part of the Dartmouth skiing community. Everyone is so amazing. It taught me a lot about myself, how to manage like a ton of things on my plate. And yeah, it was a great experience.
What was the transition like from you from going from college skiing to professional skiing and getting on the US national team?
So I was actually on the national team before I went to college, and then kind of did both for a little bit. And now I'm competing independently, so I'm not actually on the national team now. So I have had all sorts of different transitions, and all of them, it's been very different for sure. And I've had to kind of adapt to the opportunities and resources I've had. But I think that if you just stay super focused on your goals and look at the opportunities you are given and take advantage of those, then yeah, you can continue to work towards your goals.
Of course, how has it been like competing on the independent level?
It is very tough. Yeah, the ski racing world is a bit complicated for those who don't understand, but I'm still racing at the highest level just without the national team support. So that primarily means that I have to fundraise a lot of money to support my season. But yeah, there's also a lot of silver linings as well. So try to definitely capitalize on those.
Of course, during your time on the national level, what was it like representing Team USA on the national level?
It was great. I think that the USOPC, the US Olympic Committee, does such a phenomenal job. So representing Team USA in Beijing was really, really special. And you definitely feel the community, and you're just so proud to be a US Olympian. And I think that definitely aids in kind of the motivation and inspiration at the Olympics to help athletes do as best as possible.
What is it like obviously competing and going down such slopes as the Super G slope, the Giant slope, and other slopes like that?
What is it like? It's fun for me. I think that some people think of it as a little bit scary, but I've been doing it for a very long time now. So it's very fun. Yeah, it's an awesome feeling.
Of course, what is it like going down those slopes representing Team USA?
I think I don't really think about that when I'm like racing in the course. I'm just thinking about like the skiing. So I'd say it's pretty similar to every race I do.
What was it like preparing for the Olympics?
Well, I didn't specifically prepare for the Olympics this year until I'd say I got there. And then in Beijing, you definitely had to like adapt to the environment. The snow was super different, but it wasn't very different from my regular training. A lot of time on the hill, working on the skiing, putting in the hours, and just trying to get faster every day.
Of course, what was it like going to the Pan American Games and competing to get a chance to qualify for the Olympics?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by Pan American Games. I compete at like the World Cup level for to qualify for the Olympics.
What was it like, obviously, competing at the World Cup level?
It was great. This was my first year doing full World Cup speed, so went to all new tracks, saw some beautiful places. It was really challenging, and I learned a ton. So yeah, I think this was like one of the biggest growth years of my life for sure.
What was that feeling like when you got the Team USA jersey and you got to put it on for the first time?
Um, all of the Team USA swag is pretty unreal, and definitely a big bonus of making the Olympic team. I think that everyone is like, oh my God, all the swag. And they're right in that it is very exciting. So yeah, that was a very fun part of the whole process.
What was that feeling like when you got to have the Olympic rings on your Team USA gear?
Um, yeah, I think that like just having the Team USA is like that you're at the Olympics. So uh it doesn't totally sink in right away, but like over the course of the time that you're there, you start to appreciate that a little bit more. And I definitely think that was a big thing for me this time at my second Olympics to kind of take a second to really appreciate what I'd accomplished and the hard work I put in to get there. So yeah, that was really nice.
Of course, what was it like going to the Olympics for the first time in 2016?
Deserve it just because I was the alternate, which in retrospect, I wish I just focused on like the work I put in and being there, because it definitely made it a little bit stressful, and I was really hard on myself. But my whole family was there, which was so nice, and a bunch of my cousins. So I think the Olympics are a really cool opportunity for athletes to be able to share their sport that they do all the time with their friends and family and the rest of the world. So I appreciate that opportunity.
What was that feeling like going down the slopes at the biggest stage of them all during your time at the Olympics?
Yeah, that was pretty surreal, I will say. I wasn't anticipating that, but you definitely have a moment of like, oh my God, I'm at the Olympics, which, yeah, is a pretty indescribable feeling.
Of course, has obviously your time in the 2018 Olympics helped you into your previous time at this previous Olympics?
Yeah, a lot. Like I said, the first one I was like very stressed and overwhelmed, and hard on myself. And this time I really just focused on enjoying the moment, working really hard, putting in the time for skiing. And then when I had extra time to kind of like enjoy being there, and also obviously there are no people at this Olympics. So that kind of gave you the freedom to just like take a breath, hang out with the other athletes, walk around, enjoy like the village and just being there, because we actually couldn't go anywhere else.
What was it like, obviously, going to Beijing and getting to compete in the Olympics this year?
It was great. I was very, very honored to be there. Very proud of the work I put in, and yeah, enjoyed the whole thing. So I am very thankful.
Can you talk about, of course, what alpine skiing is?
Alpine skiing is a downhill skiing sport. So it's basically you start at the top of a mountain and you race down the mountain, go around all the gates, try to get down as fast as possible. That's my description in a nutshell.
Of course, what are some of your favorite memories and moments competing for USA in alpine skiing?
Um, I think that my favorite moments have been like the moments that I'm most proud of are when I've overcome stuff. Um, and I think that like ultimately as an athlete, you're the only one who really understands like the work that you put in and how much you care about it. and like what it means to you. So I think the like private moments of overcoming something really hard and having a performance that I'm really proud of have been the most meaningful to me.
Of course, what are some of your game day routines and rituals like at the Olympics?
I don't like, I'm not superstitious at all. So they're like very basic: wake up, have breakfast, put on my ski clothes, go train. Yeah.
How does it feel to have Olympian behind your last name and have freestyle skiing behind your last name?
I don't feel any different. I mean, I think that like skiing is a little bit part of my identity. I don't think that I try not to, I don't think being an Olympian really changes that much for me personally. I just like continue trying to work hard and get better in like all aspects of life. So it is nice to know that I reached that level, but I think that I'm more proud of the work I put in, and thankfully that was enough to get to the Olympics. And yeah, I'm just going to continue to focus on the effort.
Who are some of the people that you look up to in the sport of alpine skiing?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think that they're like skiing is a pretty how does this like strict or traditional sport, but there are starting to be people who like push the boundaries of what being an alpine skier is there means, and I really appreciate that. And then of course there are just people on the mountain who are so kind and want the best for everyone, and so I really appreciate people like that, like Federica Brignone, who's just so outgoing, and yeah, she I think does a lot for the sport.
Who are some of the people that are most influential in your career and your idols?
I think I have a lot of role models more than idols, that are people I just really like, admire and respect how they like present themselves, and like how they just go through their day-to-day life. So I would say they're definitely more role models. But yeah, my whole family has been very influential, all of them for different reasons. So I feel really, really lucky to have such an amazing family.
What are some of your future plans in the sport of alpine skiing?
I'm really excited to keep committing to the World Cup speed circuit this year, and progress up the ranks, hopefully qualify for World Championship team. And I'm also trying really hard this year to, use my platform more to kind of share my story, to empower young girls to feel like the confidence and agency that I've gained through sport. So yeah, I want to give back to the community as much as possible while still working towards my own goals.
Of course, what is the balance like between being an Olympian and also having a outside job outside of skiing?
Yes, I think that balance is very important. With sport, there's so much out of your control that you can work so hard and things still might not turn out exactly like you wanted. So I think it's really nice to have a balance of other things that you can put effort in, and that are maybe like a little bit more correlated. Success is a little bit more correlated to output. And yeah, I just like the balance. It's nice to get your mind off of skiing all the time.
Of course, what are some of your future plans? Do you plan on going to the Olympics again?
We will see. I would love to, but I kind of take things a year at a time. So 4 years seems very far away, but we'll see.
What is it like, obviously, getting prepared for these tournaments and these competitions?
Um, it's similar to how I've approached races pretty much my whole career. I definitely have gained more knowledge throughout the years. So I've kind of honed in what works and what doesn't work for me. And yeah, just kind of focusing on that and doing the things I need to do.
What advice would you give these college athletes that are looking to compete in skiing and alpine skiing in college?
I think that it's an amazing experience, and if you're thinking about it, you should definitely do it. But I would just reach out to like who's ever at the school that you're thinking about skiing for, because like the community is such a huge part of college skiing. So that's a really good way to kind of assess what that community is like and if you think you'd enjoy it. But yeah, I loved my experience. So I would definitely recommend it.
What advice would you give college athletes on the skiing level looking to compete for Team USA and represent in the Olympics?
Keep working hard.
What advice would you give those Olympians that are looking to go to the Olympics for the first time or go multiple times like you have?
I'd say the first time, like, make sure to take a second to appreciate the work you put in to get there. And more than once, they've definitely got some things figured out. So I don't know how much advice I can give them.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Yes, I have an Instagram at Tricia_Mangan. I have a website, triciamangan.org. And you can also find my blog on the website, which I post weekly in-season updates and monthly out-of-season updates.
Thank you again, Tricia and Mangan, for your interview, and best of luck in your future in the sport of alpine skiing.
Thank you so much. It was really nice talking.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Tricia and Mangan, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.